What has happened is a colossal military disaster.
In 1940, France was defeated by the German army. Thousands of British and French troops were surrounded in the port of Dunkirk, and their navy could not get close enough to evacuate them.
We shall never surrender.
Finn, Jack, welcome to Top Billing.
Thank you.
So the film is based on fictional characters. Given that, what kind of research went into tapping into your roles, or were you quite free to explore?
Yeah, we were pretty free to explore, and I think the idea was that we were playing the situations, you know, rather than someone with an incredibly, you know, massive backstory. I think that was your choice, you know, which it always is when you go on a film. It's your choice if you want to do that or not, and I think we all did to a certain degree. But it's far more about exploring people's reactions in situations.
Yeah, and I think also that as much as that is true, you do have to base it in a certain amount of research just to understand the situations you're trying to recreate. So as much as the characters were very particular and you can do as much thinking about that on your own as you want, the scenarios they were in are something that's so alien to us that we all you know, did our homework.
What was most evident about what happened in Dunkirk as you were kind of portraying each role, about what the men went through during that time?
The confusion of the situation was what was most palpable, I think. And when you watch the film, it's what you get most. Is the confusion that nobody knew what to do, you know, nobody knew where to go. You know, I love when you see them, the guys on the beach just struggling and scrambling different ways of getting off the beach. You know, people just trying to go home because they could see it as well. It must have been terrible that they could see it but couldn't get to it.
Yeah, it's just there's a sense of chaos and kind of panic that is so clear in everything you read about Dunkirk that Chris, hats off to him. I don't know quite how he's done it, but he's managed to capture that.
The call went out. We have to go to Dunkirk. Ready on the stern line.
With the coast too shallow for British warships, a call went out for civilians with seaworthy boats to cross the English Channel to help evacuate soldiers. And they did.
Like most British people, I've grown up with this story. I don't even remember the first time I was told about the events at Dunkirk. About 20 years ago, Emma and I went with a friend who had a small boat, and we made the crossing to Dunkirk. At about the same time of year, the evacuation had taken place. And the channel did not cooperate. The seas were very rough, and it was incredibly challenging and arduous and felt very, very dangerous. And that was without people dropping bombs on us. You know, we weren't heading into a war zone. And so my respect and admiration for the people who made that crossing to assist with the evacuation, and my interest in the real events, what had happened at Dunkirk, was absolutely cemented.
What was it about this particular story that you wanted to be involved and part of?
This one, we had to go through the long audition process. Like, you know, it was a process. This one.
Yeah, I remember getting the email through about Dunkirk being made and seeing who was attached to it and that Chris was directing and writing.
I remember seeing he was looking for actors like from Britain and Ireland, and like he was looking for actual newcomers.
Kind of, and I just knew that I had to be a part of this film.
Was there kind of like a brotherhood formed from filming this?
Oh yeah, definitely. We all just click like that, you know. Yeah. And you have to, I think, you know, if you're telling a story like this, especially of a historic thing like this, you know, everyone's got to get together and give their heart and you know, be open and
definitely, yeah. And spending so much time with Barry as well, it was great. It's a good crack on the boat.
Yeah, I remember crossing this ship. Chris asked all these extras to look down on us and almost be defeated, and I remember seeing that, like, you know, that was an experience in itself. Like, you know, that was the first time I got a little sense of what it must have been like, you know.
And for you?
Just gobsmacking, really. Just to try and take in the scale of the thing. I'd done a fair bit of reading beforehand just to try and get an idea of what story we were telling. Obviously, it was covered in curriculum history at school, but Doesn't really pay much
And
attention.
no one's seasick? No one was seasick throughout?
I'm quite seasick, but I didn't actually...
Yeah, you were quiet.
Yeah, I was going green a few times, but...
I don't remember that. You just went quiet one day. I was like, what's wrong with you?
I'm struggling. I'm struggling. Yeah, but he's fine. Chris taught me a really cool technique, actually, to be on the boat and be up on deck.
Yeah.
And make sure you're looking at the horizon.
Yeah.
Because that levels you out.
Yeah.
And you can see...
I remember, yeah. Seeing the
straight
horizon like that, though.
Yeah.
And I realised I was on my side. I was like, oh.
Because that boat really did do that.
I know.
Really did do that.
Well, I get really seasick, so I'm going to take that advice. Just look at
the horizon and breathe the fresh air.
Yeah.
Thanks, buddy. Just as long as I'm not green, but I might just turn purple because I'm not sure. It goes green.
Well, we'll see, won't we? We'll see.
Exactly.
Hitler held back his tanks, but unleashed his air force. The troops were sitting ducks, and few expected a flotilla of fishing boats and leisure craft could save them.
Every hour the enemy pushes closer. They've activated the civilian boats. Civilians? We need destroyers.
So the movie took on three perspectives, being air, land, and sea, and you were quite critical in the one element. Tell me about that.
So I was a Marine coordinator, and basically anything that floats kind of falls into my realm of production. So as you can see behind us, we have the Moonstone, which was the hero boat. We also had destroyer, minesweepers, and a whole slew of other boats, including the little ships. Let's talk about this particular Moonstone boat. I believe it's as close to the original as possible. This is made by a manufacturer that actually had little ships that went across in the process, but this one was part of the owner's private collection that we found in Scotland and we purchased. We have to do a lot of invasive kind of work to these types of boats, so it was important that we owned this boat so that we didn't do any destruction, and to the actual original ships, we want to handle those as carefully as we could.
They will die. You're weekend sailors, not the bloody Navy. You should be at home.
What would you hope people take away from the film?
I think it's the age of the guys there and the guys in the cast. I hope they take that away. We've been saying today that, you know, even in a lot of the very, very small roles in the film, there are some very young actors in there, some of whom I've worked with, and they're all brilliant, and it really helped to accent the sort of helplessness that was felt during that week of these young men that were suddenly in charge of, you know, a situation that a lot of people would run away from.
The movie plunges audiences into what those who were there felt and experienced.
We shall never surrender.
Where's the bloody Air Force?
Dunkirk opens in cinemas and IMAX tomorrow.